Diversity and inclusion have become words that have been cast aside. People think it's anti merit. But there are companies that have managed to include people with disabilities, people from the LGBTQI community, more women in their ranks, and as a result, bring in higher profits. We're having that conversation today, where Megha Goel and Parmesh Shahani of Godrej Properties Limited, in this collaborative conversation, will help us understand how they have more people with disabilities on their construction sites, how they've brought trans people into forward customer facing roles, how they've managed to include more women in their ranks, and as a result, they've made more money. Listen in. Megha and Paramish, thank you for making time to speak with me. We're chatting because you are both with a real estate company, which tends to be very male oriented. It tends to be very binary, very het. But you've managed to actually create an organization that is really inclusive. And it's inclusive in a way that perhaps we're not used to in India. And that's a conversation I find absolutely fascinating. So that's what I want to talk about today.
I'm chatting with you because I'm a fan and because you have consistently over the years supported queer rights. For all you young watchers, Faye has been for like 20, 30, God knows how many forever. One of the earliest champions of LGBTQ rights in India, among so many other things. So I'm chatting because like I was like, wow, to be a fangirl and to sit at a table is damn good.
He's underplaying it, but Parmesh is a champion of queer rights in India. And the last hurdle standing before us is marriage. So hopefully that will happen as well. Will come with time. But let's talk about the work we're doing right now, or the work you're doing right now with Godrej Properties. I mean, normally when we say inclusive, we say DEI, which Donald Trump now has made like a bad term. It's normally about including a certain number of women. Very few companies actually talk about LGBTQI openly still. Disability is spoken about but not really actioned. So if we break this up, let's go piece by piece. Let's first talk about including women in your organization. You've gone up to 35%?
36.
36%. Tell me about that.
It's actually very different because what happens when you talk about the industry average is around 12%. Now, this is not just a number. It's actually a generational deficit that the industry has created. When you don't have women in a real estate workplace, you actually don't have women in colleges as well who are studying civil engineering. So it's years of generational deficit that has been created about talent itself. Right? What we are trying to do and the way we have been trying be able to do that is through a lot of initiatives. Just talk about how workplaces can be reimagined for all kinds of people, right? It's not about gender actually. Bring the conversation to talent first. And obviously when you talk about talent, why should a particular gender, a sex, or a kind of a disability be left out? It's talent. Wherever talent exists, we are going to get that. Right? So we have something called as CREW, which is Collective of Real Estate Women. What is it is essentially doing? It's actually bringing this belief back into the minds of women, but also in men, that women can actually work in the sector. Gone are the days, no one, not even a man, is standing there and putting a brick on his own, and no one should do it. Like, there is enough technology for this work to be done in better ways. We are all working in very good environments, and there is no reason for a woman or a LGBTQI employee or a PWD employee to work in that kind of a scenario. I'm actually extremely proud that at Godrej Properties at this point of time, I even have disabled employees working at civil sites. We have civil engineers who are trans, who are actually working in civil sites, and everything is going well, right? So it's about intent. And once you start making the change, and obviously that change has to be held, and it has to be held for at least a few years, and then so many others start joining you into the change, you can make that difference. We have moved to now 36%. But we were like a 24% 3 years ago. So we have really moved large strides. Today in the sector, every single woman knows that Godrej Properties is the place for women to work in, right? But we don't want to really stop there. We want to actually say that why can't real estate be the sector where women could work in?
So, what are your numbers on your queer employees and your disabled employees?
Across Godrej or GPL?
Or
Well,
properties?
most of the LGBTQIA plus and persons with disabilities are in GPL. So Megha has been doing like a lot of the heavy lifting.
So 2.3% of our current headcount is actually out and proud LGBTQIA employees.
Okay.
We're not including the ones which are closeted but may have come
Which is
out.
around 300
Yes.
as of now.
Correct.
300 out and proud. Hundreds
Across
more, if not
Godrej
thousands.
Properties.
Yes.
In just one company, right?
Wow.
For
Yes.
example, which is amazing.
Which is
Correct.
amazing.
And we have around 1% representation of PWD. We have started around PWD just a year.
And that's persons with disabilities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Personal
So, I want to ask both of you this, whichever wants to take the, so on one hand, you sit in rooms where you say, okay, this is what we're going to hire. This is the kind of people we're going to bring in. You go out, you look for the talent, you bring them in. There are two types of adjustments that need to be made. One is the infrastructural adjustment in your company, which means you need ramps, you need the queer-friendly bathrooms, all of those things. That's infrastructure. The second is to change the way people think so that other team members are welcoming. Because a lot of times what happens is it's great when you talk about it on paper, but on the ground they get bullied, they get excluded, they're not feeling comfortable, and then they leave. How do you solve for that?
So for us, it's both. It's hardware and software of inclusion, right? Hardware is everything and you have to have it right. And in today's world, you don't even need to invent it. So everyone who's watching, please go to godrejdlab.com. All our policies, all our processes, all our resources. We have now thousands of resources on inclusion is all up as a public repository.
Okay.
So no one needs to reinvent the wheel for hardware.
It's not a secret.
It's not a secret. Everyone think just copy our inclusive, just copy our policies, copy our processes, and that's the whole point as Megha. We want to make everyone in real estate more inclusive. We want to make everyone in every business more inclusive because that's the whole point. So the hardware is relatively easy. You have policies that are, that are equitable for everyone. You build infrastructure. It's not hard. Building a ramp is not that hard. Buying a software for an employee who is visually impaired is not that hard. None of this is hard. It's out there. The software, the cultural thing needs intent, and there need to be consequences if that doesn't happen. So
give me examples.
For example, one of the things that we've done is that we've made inclusion part of everything that senior leadership does. All our senior leadership conferences have a very strong focus, and they can't run away at these things. We've put it as part of their goals. So I don't know of any other organization in this country or maybe the world at this moment where if you are above vice president at the Godrej Industries group of companies, 15% of your goal sheet will be sustainability and inclusion goals. So people and planet goals are 15%, which means 85% of your goal sheet is, profits, etc., etc. And we start our meeting. So a lot talking about so that's the culture.
Would you say, Parmesh, unless you make it a KRA, unless you make it a deliverable, it's not going to happen?
Completely. And we've seen the numbers shift since that. The moment we mandated it, the moment we said this is fundamental to who we are as a group, numbers start going up.
So it's not, and I will add to what Parmesh is saying. It is one of the things that we definitely helps you, right? For years, I think it's been more than a decade now that we have the GLF, which is a Godrej Leadership Forum. It is a 2-day thing. And for years, we have been talking about various subjects around inclusion very, very openly. Sometimes people have really found it uncomfortable because that was the first time they were...
We've had vagina monologues as plays in the senior leadership conference and senior leaders being made to shout. We've had Mona El-Tahawi, the Egyptian American feminist icon come, and we've pushed their mindset clearly. We've had queer performers and their parents, Rani Koinur Sushant, came with their father and then performed, and then the father said, let me tell you about what it is like to love your queer child. So we push.
But actually, so doing your KRAs is just one more additional piece. So it's not just one thing that is going to help you. If you do the KRAs without creating an environment, that's not going to help. If you just give the KRAs and you don't make the infrastructure, that's not going to help.
If your leaders are not signaling, like if your MD is not going and showing up for your things or for whatever, right? It's not a good thing you can say it's a good thing to do, but you don't show up.
Yeah.
But the MDs of all our companies show up at our conferences, hold the pride flag in our pride marches, go to factories on Women's Day and sit on the floor with the employee resource groups and talk about.
It's one thing to have
Yeah.
again to have your leadership team
Yeah.
sit in place, but on the actual work site,
Yeah.
on the factory floor where where the actual people are working,
Yeah.
how do you change mindsets there?
I'll share examples with you, specifically at Godrej Properties, because we work on sites,
Yeah.
right? We have defined something called as a model site, which is an all-inclusive site. So we said that for the last 200 years, we have been working to get the numbers moving. Let's now start right on day one. So in this model sites, on day one, when we start them, we start with 50-50 representation. We will have 50% women LGBTQIA plus PWD employees on day one. We will have gender inclusive.
This is at all
washrooms.
levels?
This is across levels. We will actually start with having a complete accessible site. In fact, now we have created a design and we have standardized it. So every new office that opens up at Godrej Properties has to follow that all-inclusive infrastructure design itself, right? Including the staff, pantry staff, etc. We also call them silent sites because we bring in a lot of our SHI employees into those sites.
Speech and hearing impaired.
Speech and hearing impaired employees. Now we started around 2 years ago, and today across India, across all our cities, we have 12 such sites, right? So it is possible, and this has happened because the senior leadership sat together and actually said that enough of this catch-up game. Let's start right going forward.
And many of them have trans cafes with them, which I run. So, I mean, it's great. Imagine you as a home buyer going.
Yeah.
You'll see people signing. You'll see people on wheelchairs. You'll see trans cafe. Wouldn't you want to give them your money?
Yeah.
I did. I'm like, whatever I save, I just keep on buying the flats.
So here's the thing, right? A lot of people who are watching might say, oh, that's great for you, but it seems like a lot of extra work. It seems like it's a cost. It seems like it's bad for business. What's your response to? Is it good for business?
See the GPL share price.
Yeah,
I mean,
stupendous growth, right? And I would say it's literally like a straight line, linear straight line going in for business and for inclusive.
Can you correlate the two?
West East Zone, which is actually it's achieved 50-50 complete gender diversity across, and it's spread across 4 different cities, right? It goes from Ahmedabad, Pune, Nagpur, and Kolkata. Across these 4 cities, right, 50%, and they are the market leader in each of the cities that they operate in, right? So it is very much possible. And in fact, I'm telling you that our scale grew so much. So we were around 2,000 employees in 22, and today we are sitting at close to 4,700 employees. When you had to hire so many people in this sector, which is already so talent, short, you cannot say that, I will not hire a woman. And that's the mindset shift.
But do you get people who say, "Mil hi nahi rahe yaar, I'm not getting anybody with this profile"?
Yes. So what did we do?
Because I remember getting that a lot. I would insist back in the day, in a news team saying, I want people from the Northeast. I want people from these various communities because that's the only way we'll be able to tell these stories. And HR would respond saying, we don't have those CVs. We don't have these people.
Then
What do
you can fire those HR people and get new HR people. No, I mean...
See, it's all about really bringing in right intent because you want to do it. We really believe at Godrej Properties that if we are going to have consumers from all across, we also have to have employees from all across. And I have really faced what you're telling me as an HR professional as well. The first year we went out to hire for LGBTQIA employees, we were not able to find them because you will not find out and proud individuals with real estate experience on their CVs.
And who want to trust you by telling you.
Yes, by telling you. You can't ask.
So we started a Pride internship program.
Okay.
This is a 9-month program. We are running its 11th batch right now. These interns come in. They may be freshers, they may be experienced in other organizations, but willing to join us as an intern. They go for 9-month program with a complete mentor and a buddy. They do exactly what is required to be done. In 9 months, the manager wants to hire this person because the person has seen the kind of work ethic, the kind of performance the person is bringing in. And that's where you shift the conversation from diversity towards talent, right? From diversity towards business. Now this individual is actually a great professional who can deliver sales for you engineering for you, design for you, you can go and fight a court case for you. Why wouldn't you want to have the person?
So, brings me to the fact that in the last 6-8 months,
Yeah.
single-handedly Donald Trump has set back, right, the entire diversity and inclusion conversation globally, because now everybody's saying, oh, it's anti-merit and we need to now go back
Trigger
to...
warning. You have used the M word.
Yeah, I've used the M word. I've done it on purpose. I want you to react to this conversation that inclusivity is anti-merit.
Can I go first?
Please.
We
I'm
love
waiting.
We love
But
this.
not just you're baiting.
I'm like, I've got to sit back now.
No, the whole idea of merit is,
Yeah.
it's merit, unfortunately, has been trained to look like straight, able-bodied men in the room. Imagine merit is all about them, right?
Yeah.
If merit is what Megha said, it's about talent, then DEI is about making sure that the talent gets a chance to come up and compete. But unfortunately, we have so many structural barriers that is not allowing the talent to come forward. So what DEI does, it removes some of the structural barriers. It creates opportunities for talent. No one is saying hire women, even though they might be worse than men or whatever, right? We're saying we want to create a workplace in which everyone can flourish, and we have so much more representation in this. If we increase representation, it will be good for everyone. And of course, we want Savit women, we want talented women. But how do we create spaces for the talented women to come up and showcase their work, right? I mean, so that is what this thing is. It's not anti-merit. It's about saying that everyone's merit should have a chance to come forward and shine. And so that's how we counter it. It's like, it's ridiculous. Unfortunately, people who bring this up, it's so sad that in all our meetings for years, this merit thing comes up. It's only when you hire straight, able-bodied men, no one says, "Lekin merit pe hona chahiye." They just assume that they are born with merit, some God-given, God knows what merit. But when you say, "I'm hiring a woman, PWD, LGBTQ person from any other dimension," they say, "Ha, lekin merit." Why this question is only
Why is
coming
the
up?
assumption that you will hire below par?
Yeah, it's
exactly.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I want to actually just add on to that. Inclusion at Godrej Properties is not a quota. We are not adding people just to fill up a number. And we never ever go and push any hiring manager to hire the person because this candidate is coming from a diverse workforce. Never ever, right? It is not possible for us to live decades like this. And that's what will happen if you keep pushing for it. It is about understanding and acknowledging everyone's merit. Right? And that's where I said...
So you create pipelines for internships, you remove barriers, you give benefits to people, whether it's, childcare, elder care, etc., so that they can come forward and do the work. You create alternative ways of imagining workforce. So you do all of that so that people can come forward and shine.
In fact, we did a very, very interesting thing. We were sending a lot of profiles out and a lot of women were getting rejected. We made them masked. We just removed the names and all the markers from there and we resent the same profiles. They got shortlisted. And then you have a conversation with this person saying that, what did you find? There was merit there, right? So the question is not about merit. The question is about the biases that exist.
So have you found, and I brought in the question because I know you still work at Godrej Properties, not just where you are working right now, but in previous organizations also a lot of unconscious bias that just, stands in the way of being inclusive.
Even in our own organization, I mean, with so many thousands of people, not everyone has drunk the DEI Kool-Aid and understands, although the data is so clear. As Megha said, being more inclusive makes you more money, it makes you more innovative, it brings in the best talent. There's a direct correlation between being inclusive and prosperity for all. It is what Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas means, truly, right? You take everyone along.
Well done.
Everyone progresses, right? That is what DEI is about. It's about taking everyone along so that all boats rise, socially, economically, but having said that, there are so many people who, because of the biases, might not believe it. So we have to work on...
What is the most atrocious thing you have heard as a response?
About hiring?
About any inclusivity?
Yeah, one of them saying that this is a quota candidate and we will have to promote people like this. I've had cases where some people have said that they're not so happy about the appearance, and customers will not be, so happy about these employees because of their appearance. And I'm telling you that we have placed those employees in our customer facing roles, and they are actually high performers, right? And there were simple aspects like, why is someone wearing a kajal? What is your problem if someone is wearing a kajal?
Yeah, this is if it's a trans person or if it's a man who wants to wear makeup or whatever.
Yeah.
I have
right?
had a
Yeah.
conversation with a very senior woman leader, right, where, starting up something, and the person is saying that, oh, I had a bad experience with one such employee, and I don't want to hire more of them. Yes, it's possible, right? We have a lot of non-regretted attrition among women, LGBTQIA folks, and PWD folks as well, because it is all about merit.
This is really interesting. And it was one of the questions I wanted to ask you, because when, for example, I work with a man and he performs badly, it's not going to inform my opinion about all men.
Exactly.
But it tends to happen when you're working with someone with disability, or you're working with someone who's queer, or a woman, and you'll say, "Arey yaar, ye aurtein na aise hote hain." You just like write off that entire group of talent.
It's horrible.
Yeah, but it does happen a lot, doesn't
Unfortunately,
Yes.
because that is why we need to increase representation, because when there are enough women in the room, in decision-making places,
Yeah.
in positions of power, then these conversations stop. Even in our own, I mean, in Godrej Consumer Products, when there were 5 women in a factory, people were saying that will women be able to lift machines or put it on? Now, when there are 200, these conversations are not happening. When there are 200, now those same men are actually saying, come, we are a model factory. See, we have so many women working here,
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
So that's why you need the numbers. It's the same. The first I'm sure your first silent site, people wondered. But now when that is the template, when people are realizing that, buildings are still being built, they are being sold, they are making God knows how many thousands of crores in profit every year, GPL is doing very well. And that's why we have to have representation and visibility.
So, Faye, at 2,000 employees at Godrej Properties, when we were 25%, there were that many women and diverse groups. But with now almost 5,000 employees and almost 38% representation, the big chunk of a talent is actually being driven by diverse groups of employees. They are equal talent in every single space of work that they bring onto the table.
Then this conversation go down, then you have other interesting conversations.
In fact, we
Very
had,
boring.
absolutely, we had that conversation to say that, okay, it's possible to bring it in this role, but how will you bring, folks in our operations on a civil sites? We brought civil engineers from PWD, we brought civil engineers in LGBTQIA. It's possible because it's not about people choosing to be in, an LGBTQIA or people choosing to be that way. It is how they are, and every human being is normal. I can be a lesbian and can decide to do civil engineering. Who's determining that? Right?
Is Megha coming out on this show? Sorry, Megha's husband. I bet you didn't know this. Can I just answer a thing about, all the women watching GM? So, your Insta is going to blow up now. Since you asked about what irritates you, I just want to say that one thing, because what irritates is people acting out of fear, right? People have so much fear of change. So at so many meetings, because we've been doing this work now for so many years, there will be someone who will stand up. You'll present a good idea and they'll say, now in today's world, they can't be directly, they can't say we don't like women or we don't like this. They'll say, let me play devil's advocate for a moment.
It always starts with that.
Always starts with that. And the male-leaning person. So we'll say, okay, it's one of the things that we've done at all our group companies. We've said we pay for gender affirmation surgery, hormones, and so on, right? Across anyone. And GPL, actually, Godrej Properties, has had so many of our incredibly talented colleagues who've undergone that process. Right? But when we were starting this, we were like, we are going to pay for gender affirmation surgery and an annual cost for hormones. There would be someone who would say, let me play devil's advocate for a moment. What if 100 trans people join us and they all want to do gender affirmation and that? So then our point would be, so
they all come here only to get their work
done. What
done?
if they all come here for that? Then we're like, then you'll say, what if 500 women join us and they all become pregnant at the same time,
Yeah.
then you have to say, so?
So I will
Because
just
they'll
add
come
here.
back.
Yeah.
They'll come back. No, women are not baby making,
Yeah.
but it is only.
Yeah.
No, but you know what I love about this argument
Yeah.
about, women will come and get pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, they are having someone's baby, right? Someone has had your baby.
Yeah.
They're not like,
Yeah.
And they'll come back in 6 months, and they'll love you that you took care of them, and they'll have long careers after that, right? I mean, that's
Then I'll
what
just
we're
add
saying,
on
yeah.
to this one that, we have an unlimited sick leave policy, and it is for men, women, everyone. No one is asking that question to say that, oh, all men will take unlimited sick leave, right?
So it's just, yeah.
okay, hang on, let's pedal back. Unlimited sick leave. Do they have to give in a doctor's note?
Yeah, so we do
Okay.
obviously
How
have
do you-
some
yeah.
guardrails
Okay, what are your
around it.
guardrails?
The context is coming from the place that once you're unwell
Hmm.
and you only have a 10 days quota, how can I determine whether you will be unwell only for 10 days? You
Or
may
if
be
you're unwell for
unwell,
12 days.
Yeah,
Will you come
right?
to work sick? No, right?
right? So obviously, once you are you're unwell, and if it's a particular time has passed in, we will obviously look at the doctor's documents, etc. Because we also don't want it to be misused, and obviously the misuse has been very, very minuscule. But we do have some of those guardrails to say that do send us your documents. We have an in-house doctor. A lot of times the doctors actually help you get the best kind of treatment available. Also brings in a lot more sensitization to the manager and the team members about how the colleague is feeling and how the colleague needs a lot more support during this period of time, right?
Sorry, I'm going to jump now into a completely, and I'll come back to what we're talking about, but we're also living in a world where AI is replacing humans. So where do we go, with this great policy of let's include everybody and treat everybody with love, where we are also staring down a pipe where
Let's
humans-
include our agents also now.
And actually, it is even more pertinent that we bring this conversation up here now, because if you don't have enough diverse inputs getting into AI, the world is going to look even more gloomier.
The data sets are very male-oriented, Western world-oriented, and very problematic.
So, in fact, one of the things
very
that we
binary,
have done
very
Godrej Properties, when we started off, our recruiters are actually from the LGBTQIA folk, community, or from the PWD community,
Or
because
women,
because they are able to have those conversations with candidates coming in. They are able to really bring in that kind of a confidence there. All right. Another piece that has really helped Godrej Properties is that a lot of our leaders are internally grown. So we are someone who really believe in taking bets on our internal talent. Right, so 90% of our senior leadership at a management committee is all internally grown. The level below that,
internally grown, is basically when you have an opening for senior leadership, somebody within the company.
who started junior, has
Yeah.
come up the pipeline, knows the DNA.
So now, I have 4 zones, right? And all of those CEOs are all people who have grown internally, 100%. They've spent at least 8 years at Godrej Properties. There's a very different kind of culture that they bring in right at the top, right? They are reportees, and they have an executive committee, which is like 10 to 15 individuals. Most of them are grown internally. Again, they are bringing the same kind of values, and that is how it goes down.
Do you put a weightage on the number of years the person has spent in the organization, or have they grown from the bottom to the top?
No, it's not a weightage on the number of years, etc. It's obviously performance has to speak for, and that is one of the key parameters. So we have, and in fact, I'll say this, when we have had jobs where for this particular job, we had a woman and we had a man, right? And a woman did not get the job because on everything keeping at par, the man seemed to be doing better, right? So it is meritocratic. But that doesn't mean that you will not have enough meritocratic women in the organization. There are enough and more, right? So obviously, talent first is what that's what we're trying to say. And Faye, I have really seen this across organizations now, that if you don't bring the talent piece ahead, D&I is a very difficult conversation to bring in, because people may not really mind, eventually a person who's performing. Every person who's performing is a valuable team member, right? It's when you're being pushed through quotas, that's when it happens. And that is the real work on how do you create a culture where people can in fact perform. In fact, I'll share one piece with you. We also work very closely to try and understand performance parity and promotions parity. And this year we did this We have been doing it for years, but this year we tracked it a little more closely. So we start our performance ratings before 31st of March because data is still, takes some time, etc. The first cut that came out actually had a 9% difference between women ratings and men ratings, right? Like, for example, the top two, women were 9% lesser as compared to men. Once the data came in, so you get into the second iteration, the difference automatically came down to like a 5% or so. And then we started getting into the data a little more closely. We said, okay, we have something called as a goal score. These 2 or 3 individuals show same kind of a goal score, but some ratings have been normalized lower versus some ratings have been normalized higher. Do you want to have a look?
Higher for men and lower for women.
Yes.
So,
And we were actually able to achieve complete parity. Right? So it is very much possible because if you have hired for the right reasons, if you've retained for the right reasons, there is no question that you will not.
I think what Megha is saying is this is work. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah. I find this fascinating, right? Because we are also living in a world right now where it's very difficult to get young people to stay past 2 years. There is FOMO that I should be somewhere else and I should be learning something else and I should move around. So I'm assuming there's a lot of, you're putting a lot of effort in making sure that people stay with you.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So, Faye, very, very interesting. And at Godrej Properties, and I deeply believe that what's wrong if you're not really looking at your employee as a consumer or as a customer, the person will leave, right? So how are you making sense to your employee? So the employee value proposition is actually central to the conversation, right? Is my employee able to learn and grow? Is my employee really able to find the best policies and live a great life? All of this is important, right? And how we have been able to again achieve it is that while for scale, we wanted to grow in a very decentralized way and our zones have their own committees and they run, we decided that culture is one piece that we will keep centralized, right? So Gaurav Pandey, who's the MD and CEO, and Pirojsha Godrej, who is the chairman for Godrej Properties, work very, very closely to understand what determines those aspects, right? So let's pick up a simple thing around, say, for example, work-life balance, right? In my last one-on-one catch-up with Pirojsha, he's asking me about, how are employees feeling? Are they, how's the work-life balance around there? And we have something called as harmony hours, where we say that after so-and-so time, after 8 p.m., there shouldn't be any calls, any emails that should be going out, and it's actually tracked. And we actually send out reports saying that so-and-so managers send that out. And it's something that is actually discussed, right? And at those levels. And that's how you ensure that culture sees a change.
So this whole idea that the only way that you can succeed as an individual, as a company, as a country, is if you put 70 hours a week and then you put everything that you have into your job and don't go back on Sundays to stare at your wife, so on and so forth, which we've all heard.
Or partners.
Or partners.
Or so many different people. I mean,
Doesn't have to be either one of these. You're staring at a
or at
person.
yourself. Self-care.
Yeah. No, so you're bucking the trend on this entire thing and saying managers cannot call people after 8 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly. This April, we actually announced a 1-week additional off for our sales and our customer centricity teams, because we said that, yes, we know that we've stretched in the last 10 days of March. Why don't we actually take some time off and just spend some time with your families?
So you just shut the department for a week in April?
Yeah, across the country. We actually did that.
They're still doing very
French
well.
of you.
French, but the other thing is, despite all this, people might still leave, and that's fine.
That's fine,
They will always be Godrejites, and what we have realized is that they often come back because we go out in the world and they're like, oh my God.
Yeah, at Godrej Properties, we have a huge amount of employees getting rehired. We also run something called as a welcome back policy, where we also welcome our alumni back. But yes, a huge amount of rehiring happens.
I want to talk to you a little bit about care economy, right? Because you did say that you've increased the number of women who are in your workforce, but as you go further high up the pyramid, do those numbers change? Do they taper off? Because that's normally what happens.
Yes.
Women join the workforce, and then with children and with the other commitments that we understand now. I read something yesterday that said Indian women their share of workload at home is the highest in the world.
Yeah.
There is no other country in which women shoulder that
Yeah.
much of an unfair load.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that out? Because we've come this far, but we're still answering that question.
We can try our best at a policy level, but changing society is a long-term process, and we can do as much as we can. And we are also something you said earlier about what does DI mean
Yeah.
in this age, whether it's Trump, whether it's whatever. I think this is that moment for us, right? Because as a country, diversity, equity, and inclusion, these are new frameworks now. But companies like Godrej, there's very few others actually who were founded in India's Swadeshi movement, who are predicated on the idea of creating truly Atmanirbhar, independent, economically prosperous, equitable country. It has been in our DNA for hundreds of years. So if you think earlier, right? I mean, Godrej for decades has been building housing complexes or hospitals or schools or whatever. It wasn't under this framework of care or wellness or well-being or DEI, but it was all that we have to, if we have to
Give
progress, it has to be, we have to take everyone alongside and create an atmosphere where everyone can belong. Whatever,
Actually,
right?
for us, it's an Indian concept. It's not.
So the reason why it succeeds in India, and the reason why so many companies in India right now, which is I'm actually excited because this is a moment for us to show the world, when the world is wavering, how can you waver on things like inclusion?
Yeah.
But when I think all of that stopped, people will realize that we in India have quietly expanded our inclusion. So I actually think that if our economy is going to be that how many ever trillion, second, first, whatever in the world, it is going to be because of all this work we are doing now. Because we are doing the work of taking everyone along. We're doing the work of including women. So when the West or other parts of the world finally wake up, we will have progressed and we'll have taken so many more people ahead with us, right? So the care economy is about that.
So are you encouraging more men to take on responsibilities? That paternity leave is there?
Yeah. So actually, I'll add, in our recent D&I council, right, we were actually discussing representation of women at senior levels, right? And Nisa Godrej herself was there, and we were talking about, how obviously we are not going to push for representation when the merit is not calling for it. But what are the different levers that we can? So I wanted to bring this up as what happens internally on a day-to-day basis at Godrej is that this conversation is always on. One. Second, we really do believe that the society needs to change if we have to bring about real change. So we have a paternity leave policy, which is 2 months, right? We have a caregiver policy. And again, caregiver policy is all for men and women. 2 weeks every year, a man can also take care of ailing parents. Right.
Yeah.
So we do have that. And actually, Godrej Properties, there are a lot of employees who avail.
We have elder care, very good elder care policies, very good child care policies, very good self-care policies.
What is the elder care policy?
We help anyone who has to take care. We tied up with agencies who will help your, say, aging parents and facilitate their life and make them easier. They're actually amazing agencies now across this country. And so we pay for that as well. Actually quite because we're all having aging parents, right? So,
and at this point of time, we are still struggling with bringing women and even folks from all diverse cohorts at senior levels. Because again, I'm saying the generational deficit that we have created, right? For a woman in real estate to have 20 years of experience to reach at a particular level, or maybe 15 years of experience, should have had a career of 15 years. Yeah. But like as we know, because of a transition, that women have to go through, they actually drop off. So that work will take a lot more time for us, where we are able to actually get women across the board, but we are committed towards it.
Do you believe that over a period of time, the company will become, or has already become, some sort of a beacon where people who from various communities who are otherwise excluded will say, okay, let me apply here. This seems like a good place to find safety, right?
Yeah.
So you become a magnet for talent.
Yes, absolutely. It is already. And I love the way you said it. It's a magnet for talent. Right?
It's already happening. We get so much of our talent because people have heard of us. I mean, we were at Purple Fest in Goa recently, which is India's largest convention for persons with disabilities, very lovingly supported by the government of Goa.
Yeah.
And the love that we faced there, because we co-hosted a panel with the UN and Rising Flame, Nidhi Goel's incredible organization on workplace inclusion of personal disability. But just the love and affection we had there, people would stop us and say, we've heard about your policies. There's so much. I mean, it's quite amazing that because we put ourselves out there, beyond these workplaces. We're, at the Lit Live in Mumbai, we're curating a whole section on inclusion in writing again. We're trying to go everywhere and spread this message. And I mean, people come to us everywhere and say, I want to work with you, because they see us walk the talk, right? In that sense. So now we don't have to look, actually. People are coming, including straight, able-bodied men also. So, we accept everyone's resume.
Do you have other companies from corporate India coming to you saying, hey, show us how you did this?
Yes, including MNCs.
And rivals, including industry rivals, who we love hosting. Because our point is we'll compete in the marketplace. Your flat can be better than mine, or mine can be better than yours, or whatever. We'll compete there. But in the inclusion space, we don't want to compete, right?
Actually, that's another very interesting space, because a lot of the buildings, a lot of the, whether it's residential or commercial, a lot of them are completely inaccessible to people with disability. They're just not built that way. So when you have an inclusive design team, is it showing up in design?
Yes, absolutely. Each of our properties, every single property, is actually created in a very inclusive manner. It is part of the master plan itself. There are landscapes. So, we believe that the property should be accessible by every single individual. B, we also believe that the experience should not be different. It shouldn't be that a person with a wheelchair has to go into some dark alley to take the lift, etc. So the experience also should remain the same. So right on the table when the property is being designed, it is being designed to say that where do you need the right ramps, right? If you have
the switches, everything.
If you have a swimming pool, how can it be accessible to every single individual, right? So right from that stage, when the committee sits together, they're talking about it, and you can see it in every single design. We also, for example, at some in one of the rooms will probably have a larger door, because a wheelchair accessibility is not possible in the standard doors that we are bringing in, right? So if you can't do it for all because you will have, different kinds of...
At least your main washroom should have that.
Yes,
like that.
yes.
Yeah, so all of those things are being brought in.
So my dad was ailing for the last several months, and one of the biggest challenges we had was that the wheelchair couldn't go into the bathroom.
Exactly.
And so we had to have either, someone had to help him up to be able to walk into a slippery bathroom. It's horrible.
Yes.
And once a day we would struggle with this.
Or grab bars on the side of the pot. I mean,
these are simple things. Actually, this is just mindfulness. And on day one, if you can put it as part of your standard checklist, and
we want everyone to do it. We want our rivals to do it. We want everyone to do it, so that
it's just being thoughtful.
The experience is better for everyone.
I would like each of you take a minute to think about it if you want to, but give me the most heartening experience or story that you've come across when doing this work, where it's really changed someone's life and in a way that you did not expect, and it just sort of made it all worthwhile.
So at Godrej Properties now, when a lot of employees apply, they actually make a choice to change their name. So a lot of trans individuals, because they're still carrying their legal name. But we said that, to apply to us, to own an email ID in your taken name, you can do that. So I have beautiful stories, and we talk about it, that why did you choose this name, right? They have made their CV for the first time and chosen a name that matters to them, and that is how they have applied to Godrej Properties. So that's really beautiful. I have had an employee who went through a top surgery, and for the longest time throughout so many years of their life, were actually really holding, putting those bands, etc., to binders to, look the way they wanted to. But now they have been able to actually go through their top surgery, and then wrote and said that, so many years, just imagine the discomfort of so many years of just pushing yourself, right? And such umpteen number of these stories. We have trans accommodation that we provide for our employees, and we actually had a trans woman who was thrown out of her RWA. Even after she gave in the brokerage, she paid in the rent, etc. She was thrown out because the other people in the society apparently were not comfortable. Yes, and then we decided that why can't we provide for trans accommodation? And today we have a lot of our employees staying in safe accommodation being provided by us. And the ability for them to come to work and perform just enhances. Talking about performance, we talk about women having to take up so much of the share. If someone is really thinking about work at home, how is someone going to bring in 100% focus on work at office? So I think huge amount of change there and lovely stories.
So many, at one of our, women in agriculture conferences that, again, another group company does. We had a girl who won one of our scholarships who came with her mother. And the mother was just so joyous. The mother said, I've taken my first flight. I'm having a blast. I wish you were doing this during my time because I would have also worked. Like, I'm happy my daughter is working, right? I mean, it's amazing, right? Because I've been generations who missed out on the opportunity. The mother was like, this is possible, right? I mean, it's just, we go to factories, we're sitting on the floor with all these women. The joy, the laughter, the electricity, right? To be in a pride march. This year we did pride marches at headquarters and at every factory, every site.
Yeah, that's just interesting, right? Because otherwise, the idea of pride being a very urban, very young.
Not at all.
We have 93 sites and we had pride marches all across them.
It's just like on every day, this is why we do the work we do, right? One bit is this shutting up the bias, making our leaders do. But we do it because of this, right? Where, one of our other group companies gives home loans to everyone, to queer people, to couples, to whatever. So they buy the flat from Godrej Properties, they get the home loan from there, money remains in the family. But now, if you're a queer couple and the state is not recognizing your marriage, but you come to Godrej Capital and say, I want to buy a home, say, take the whole. But that joy in that queer couple when they get that house because they had a home loan from someone who recognizes them, it's indescribable, right? So there's, it's
and the amount of respect that you get on the table when you're sitting, you know that the person who respects you for who you are and, don't have to face uncomfortable questions, etc.
I love, we just did a campus, we did an India included and campus case study where we went to business schools across the country, giving them live cases. Again, over there, the people who came, who applied, the solutions they had, but the stories they told us of, strangely enough, the person who won this year from the case study contest this year came and said, my father worked for 35 years at Godrej. And it's so emotional and it's so moving. And now it's my dream to come here because I've seen all of that. So it's unbelievable. So what I said earlier, then you realize that you don't have to live in a either or world, right? Unfortunately, people have these divisions saying that corporate sector is like this, the government is like this, the NGO sector is like this, the creative
and they're all
people are like this and they're not. No, we live in a hyphenated world, right? And we're also, if we as an organization can say we belong to this world and let's all together co-create a better, the good stories far outweigh the bad ones. So it's amazing.
We have had employees who have been working for us for years and now have come out. Right? Imagine, they have been not able to come out for the last 30 years of their life or so. We have employees who share stories that they'll share a room with a roommate and the roommate doesn't know about their identity, but at office,
or with persons with disabilities, when they come to an organization, they find, we've poached, we're good and sweet and all of that, but we go out there and get talent. And we've poached some incredible talent because of who we are. And now they come on board, they do well. In fact, Sudhir, who's one of our other group MDs, has done a post about Preetham, who happens to be visually impaired, and did a market visit with him and saw the market for the first time through the eyes of someone who's visually impaired, and how that has done a whole rethink. And now they're in the middle of setting up a smell lab that's going to be populated with, visually impaired and non-visually impaired people just to discuss the future of smell, right? It's incredible how when you go on this journey, how much excitement happens and how much is possible. So,
and actually, what is most valuable for me is this intent and these experiments that we keep to actually see the other side. Like, for example, we do something as walk the talk. We actually get senior leaders to sit on a wheelchair or tie or blindfold themselves and say that let's explore this property now from a different lens. that is the best type of sensitization, the best type of unconscious bias training that you can get.
This has been run for years at Stanford D School, incidentally, as part of an innovation course, and we're doing a lot of this. It's amazing how people immediately
get it. Yeah, because no one is a bad human being.
Yeah.
We're all coming from our own stereotypes, that's all.
Yeah, and there's so many things that each of us takes for granted because of our privilege.
Absolutely.
The fact that, you don't have to bind yourself for years and years because you don't want to look the way you look. I mean, we take it for granted because we don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And it's only when you encounter another human being and you realize, oh my God, is this what you've been going through?
Like I was biased against straight people until I met you. Right.
I did want to ask you this though. Do you find that in some cases, not only do you become, like we said, a magnet for talent, but a safe haven, a safe home for trans, queer, lesbian women who are escaping domestic situations in other cities and looking for a safe place where they can work and live?
Absolutely. Even women and even PWD, even they face a lot of issues all throughout. So it is happening. I have multiple examples where a woman from Haryana actually decided to come to Godrej Properties, saw the culture, decided to then actually move to Mumbai. Initially was working in Delhi, right, because of the kind of family she was coming from, etc. And now actually having a beautiful career with us for the last many years and growing in Mumbai, right. So it makes a huge amount of difference. And that's why I also bring focus on another aspect here, which is pay parity, right. Actually, we have to stop thinking about these diverse cohorts as cheap labor. And that's what we do not do at Godrej at all, right? We ensure that we are paying the same amount for the kind of work that you bring in. So your role is important. It does not matter whether you're a cis man or a cis woman or a LGBTQIA employee, etc. Right? Because only then you can actually bring in a lot more respect for the kind of work you're doing, and your family also respects you. Plus the whole piece around financial independence, actually that brings a huge amount of strength to some of these marginalized communities.
Yeah, everyone respects you when you make
money.
Yeah. Suddenly your mother-in-law
Yeah.
doesn't oppress you. Suddenly your parents are not embarrassed of you. Suddenly, everyone around you. And that's the whole point, right? So
and that also brings me to the question of mental wellness, right? Because you are sort of creating a space for such diverse people. How much work needs to be done to make sure that you're also looking after them, not just physically, but also mentally?
Yes, but I will also say that, we are looking after everyone. So men also need the same. And that's where we actually have in-house therapists, which are actually across the country working with not only men, women, but also our laborers across sites to ensure that, people are able to deal with some of these spaces. We have all of those, calling spaces that are available where people can reach out. Some things like harmony hours, like I mentioned, right? Again, when people are able to just cut off time, live a more stress-free life, they are able to, find a lot more space for mental wellness as well, right? And in fact, we did a survey. We had men writing in that survey saying that, now I can sit and have a peaceful dinner with my family and actually spend some time with my son, right? If you see, the space around, work-life balance, mental wellness is actually also going to create space around the man taking up equal responsibility at home.
And changing the idea of masculinity itself.
Absolutely.
Which is going to be amazing.
Right? So it's all tied up. You have to just keep doing the right thing and keep, moving the society towards a better work space.
So actually, this is interesting. You both brought it up. Working with masculinity. Because there is an idea that, if we try to be more and more inclusive, then we're denying the men because there's finite jobs, there are finite, rights for everybody, or there's finite respect for everyone. But working with the masculinity is also really important.
And we're helping them grow to being a better version of themselves. We're helping them evolve to a better version of masculinity. Like Shah Rukh helped us evolve from Amitabh. From the angry young man to a loving, respectful, very sexy and kind man. And Ranveer has then now helped us evolve to that. Rocky and Rani to me is a masterclass in in growth, right? Of how you can be,
Yeah.
I mean, you can be a man in so many different ways, and loving your family and respecting your partner, and, you know, not denying certain aspects of your own self, which
Yeah.
other people might consider feminine, are still ways of.
Where does a film like Animal fit into that progression then?
It's horrible and toxic, and
Yeah.
but I mean, this is the paradox of our India, right? Animal and Rocky and Rani are both doing
Happening at the same time.
are both doing well.
Yeah.
So people are, I mean, you know, that's
Prescribing to two different ideas of
this and
masculinity
that,
at this
and
at
this
this
and
time.
that. What we want is, we want to foreground, which is why positive role modeling is so important.
And I'm just reiterating this. At the end of the day, still there are a lot of people who believe that diversity is about charity cases. You bring in charity cases, you put them in the corner so that you've checked your box. But you have found firsthand that it is good for business.
Absolutely.
Not just us, there's reams of data
Yeah.
that talks about this over the past 40 years. And since we run a DI lab, we research all of this.
Yeah.
We have found all over the world, at an individual, family, organizational, school, college, company, city, state, and national level. And there's enough data now for all of this, right? There are economists who've been studying this for being more inclusive, having more diverse people, creating a culture where everyone can thrive, helping everyone raise all boats does create magic, you know. Everyone prospers. Inclusive organizations are 8 times more innovative than non-inclusive. 8 times, not 8%, 8x, right? Make so much more money than non-inclusive. Inclusive cities, and they're all over the world, which have, you know, welcoming environments for LGBTQ people, safe for women, ramps and infrastructure for persons with disabilities, do so much more well financially than non-inclusive cities, because all the talent wants to gravitate there.
You know, this is very interesting. And I remember someone asking me this question
And countries too.
about Mumbai.
Yeah.
And why there were so many queer people in advertising and in fashion and living in Mumbai.
Yeah.
And that's simply because it created a safe place, a welcoming place for that talent to
And
come
countries get GDP bumps of 2, 3, 4%. Which is amazing, which is incredible when they go on this journey as well. So I have not in my research found even one piece of research that says discriminating is good for you. So it befuddles me that when there is a mountain of data saying be good and there is nothing saying don't be good, why people are still debating.
And
it
there is,
befuddles me.
and I can give you so much data from Godrej Properties. See, in 2022, when we were 8,000 CR from a booking value perspective, and we were growing, we knew that there is growth. We never said that don't hire people from this section or that section. Today, you know, we are 30,000 CR in our booking value. We've grown like 4x. And we have also grown in terms of inclusion, right? It's all coming from this deep thought that we have to take, as we take profits, and obviously it's extremely important, it has to come with planet and with people as well. And it is live case studies for generations now at Godrej. It's a 128-year, you know, young organization, right, with decades of work, that it actually works.
Yeah, anyone watching, be good.
Yeah.
It'll make you money also.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no downside. There's no downside.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I want to thank both of you for spending time with me today. This has been a fascinating conversation.
Thank you.
And I hope it's inspired other people to also try, at least, and to get started in some way.